So let's start with boot management first. So the kernel boot parameters are text strings which are constructed by the system to change specific behaviors and to enable or disable certain features. Okay, so don't worry about all these arguments. As you can see here, so you will get to see this argument as a part of the grub.conf file, or when you go to the grub page. Okay, so where you can edit the arguments, then you will see all these options over there. Okay. All right. Just sure. Okay. So you will see these options either in the grub.conf file or the same file wherein we have seen an image that points to the grub page when you restart your system. All right. So at the grub page, we will also get to see all these options. We will not be modifying these options much, just that we will see one single option where we will log in into the single user mode. But to have an understanding of what these options are, so here there you would get to see something called root is equal to, that corresponds to the file system. Okay, here is another new word called as file system. Okay, so you will get to hear this word. We will also be creating file systems. I hope you are aware of the Windows NTFS file system. Similarly, in Linux, we have different file systems available. Alright, so on top of your raw disk, what we do is we create a file system, okay, another layer on top of which we store the data. Alright, so for now, just remember that it's a layer on top that would facilitate or that would help the users to store the data. So whenever we create a partition, we write a file system on top of it, and on top of which we store the data. So here this points to this particular argument that you will see over there. Root is equal to, it corresponds to the file system that is for the root user, and this file system can be in multiple modes. Okay, so in read only or read write mode. Okay, so here when we go to the permissions topic, right, there we'll see different kinds of permissions. The basic ones are read, write, and execute permissions. Okay, so here this is the notation that we will be following in Linux. R stands for read, W for write, and X stands for execute. So RO is the mounted file system is in read-only mode. All right. So I hope I have given you an example regarding the mounting part, right? So similarly, what we do is when we create a partition, we create a corresponding file system, and we also mount that particular device. Okay, and that mounting happens in different modes like read-only mode and read-write mode. All right. Next comes something called as the initial RAM disk. All right, and where this particular file is present, we can see all these files inside the /boot folder. Okay, and then you have init is equal to, that is the basic system initialization process and the path of the process, and then this will start executing all the other things using this particular shell sh. Okay, and like that there are other options like single user mode, booting to a specific run level, and disabling the kernel mode setting. These are some advanced features. We'll see these features later. Okay, so let's quickly see that file, and let's move on to the grub.conf page. All right, the moment you power on the system, you will get to see the grub menu. Okay, here you have the edit options. So if you have multiple operating systems, you will see that list over here in the grub page. Okay. Okay, so once you come to this page, press E here, whatever instructions are here, press E. That would help you to list all the three processes inside your grub page. Okay, so one is the main root partition, which is 0,0, and then you have your kernel. So VM Linux, this is your kernel, and this is the corresponding version. All right, and this is the mounted point. So so if you have performed the installation, we have three major partitions. One is the root partition, the topmost partition under which your entire file system tree structure would remain. Okay, so that is your slash, and then that is the slash which we are representing here, and then we have the INR to init RD image, which is your RAM disk image. Okay. So you can see here, this is, so the moment you have seen the operating system on the grub page, what you can do is press E to edit the command. Then you will see all the three options. Then you need to provide the argument to the kernel line, this line. Alright. So what is the argument that has been provided here? See, to the kernel REGB space quiet space single. Alright. So when you say single, it will log into the single user mode. Okay. So once you have given single, what do you need to do? You need to follow the instructions. Press enter, and then here, come here, you have pressed enter, it got stored, got saved, and once you have done that, here there is something called B. Press B to boot it. Okay. Similarly, what you can do is, if you have installed multiple kernels in your system, all those kernels are displayed here. After coming here, what you can do is, rather than starting with the default kernel, you can move on to the next kernel and then make your system start with that particular kernel. Alright. So all these options, whatever you can see in the grub page, you can see all those options in this grub.conf file. Alright. To add a kernel boot parameter permanently, what you can do is you can open the grub.conf file and you can make the changes here. Here there is something called SC Linux, Security Enhanced Linux. So first of all, we will deal with the basic permissions, basic level of security, and then we have a lot of other security concepts like ACL, access control list, and like that. Finally, you will get to see SC Linux. Okay, it would be in the towards the last modules, I think 7, 8 or 9. Okay, for now just remember it is all about advanced security settings in Linux. So SC Linux. Okay, so we can also set up the SC Linux mode here, alright, using the kernel boot parameter. So if you, it has been given here, but for now just remember that this is what SC Linux, it's an advanced feature. We can also set up the, here it means enable or disabling the SC Linux. That can be done by passing the parameter to the kernel. Alright. So this particular file etc grub.conf, you will get to see all these options here. So if you can see here in this particular screen, here there are I guess two different kernels here, 2.6.10-390.el5, and we have another kernel here, 2.6.4. I think it's a subversion, another version. Alright. So we can restart and we can try logging into the other one as well. Let's see if that option is present. Okay, so going through all these parameters, starting from the first one, the default is equal to 0. It's a directive pointing to the default operating system to boot. That means if you have multiple operating systems, they'll be numbered as 0, 1, 2 like that. So default 0, it will start with the default operating system. Then we have the timeout. That means you will see the grub page for this many seconds. And then you have something called splash image. So it's nothing but the grub page that you see. It's an image that is stored in the system in this way. And then something called hidden menu. That means when you come to the grub page, only when you press E, you will get to see all the other menu options, right? So that is what it points to here. All right. And then we have, once you press that hidden menu, then it will display the below options. That means it will display the root, it will display the kernel entry, and then it will display the init RD image. Okay, so to add a kernel boot parameter permanently, so here you can see here, right? So some of the grub.conf file has been modified. The text to be displayed in the boot menu for selecting the operating system is the first line with the next three lines specifying the location of /boot directory kernel initial RAM disk. Okay, so I will start. I'll show this on my system as well. So to add a kernel boot parameter permanently, so this particular root HD0,0, it specifies the boot directory where you will get to see all the boot files that are present. So it is the first partition of the first hard disk. Then your kernel, this is the corresponding version that specifies the kernel location which is inside the /root folder. This location is related to HD. This is 0,0. So HD is one kind of notation for your hard disk, and we have SC Linux related arguments. We'll see these options later. Okay. So what permissive mode is, what enforcing mode is. So both are related to SC Linux itself. Okay, so we have it here. The CentOS makes use of the script called chkconfig to enable and disable the system services running on Linux. So we have seen both these ways running on the command line. How to modify the services on the command line using chkconfig, and the graphical way is using ntsysy, ntsysv tool. Okay, so the same command, just a quick revision of what we have seen in module 1. That's reason has been shown again. chkconfig -list, and then we can specify the service in order to list that service, and then we can also modify the services in other run levels as well. Alright, next, so securing the single user mode login is an important step in terms of tightening the security. Okay, so before going into this, so we have something called single user mode, right? So that is your run level 1. Okay, so if you have forgot, I have given one simple scenario where if you have forgot the root password, what you can do is you can log into the single user mode, and then you can change the root password in the single user mode. Alright, so when I say this, once I show how to do that, so you'll understand that okay, this is some feature that is available. But in terms of security, you might have a question that so does this mean that any person can come, restart my system, log into the single user mode and change the root password? So then where is the security? So with respect to that, we do have an option that is available where we can block the users from entering into the single user mode. We'll see that security aspect as well. Okay, so securing the single user mode login is an important step in terms of tightening security, as anyone without knowledge of booting the system gain root access without knowing the root password by simply modifying grub menu entry. I will show you how to make this change and how to change the password. Okay, use the following steps to secure the single user mode. Okay, this is about securing it. Let's first see how to modify it in the first place. Okay. Alright, so here are some steps that are given. So you need to restart your system first. So this is currently in run level 5. Let me quickly do this. I have opened the terminal. Okay, I have logged in as root. Again, I can do restart even using current. So now I have restarted my system. Okay, so if you can see here, all the messages that are coming up, we have seen this service stopping cups. So just like if you use the command service cups stop, okay, so it is showing yes, it has successfully stopped your service. Similarly, SSHD, so it refers to secure shell. If you have used it, you might have, you would know how to, if you want to log in from one Linux system to another, you would use SSH service, alright. Similarly, we have something called auto mount. I told you how to connect a pen drive and manually mount the pen drive, but if you have this feature called auto mount, automatically when you connect a device, it would get mounted and all the files in that device will be available to you. Okay, similarly we have NTP, it's network protocol, time and date settings are available with that service, and we have something called HCL, hardware extraction layer, and networking services. Alright, so like that we have a lot of services, so one after another it will try to see. So this is your grub page. Okay, so I think by default the time limit is 5 seconds. So I have, once you press the arrow keys, it will stop at the grub page. So this is my grub page. Here are the instructions that are available. Alright, so after that here I can press E to edit the commands before booting. So simply I can press enter, then the system will start booting. Or what I can do is, if I want to modify, press E. It will display all the three entries which are part of my grub.conf file. So in this list there is something called kernel, to which I need to maybe provide an argument that I want to log into single user mode. So press E. Alright, so this is a line space 1. Okay, you can either give single words, or you can also mention 1, enter. So after that, enter. Once I have entered, what I can do is, then here if you see, press B to boot. Okay, so the reason why we have B to boot is, you can also have 2 different kernels here. Alright, so you can choose the kernel, modify it to single user mode, and you can log into it, or you can decide which kernel you want to boot with. So I have booted. So before it lands up, let's go to the PPT. So after confirming, okay, so we have restarted the system here, and we have seen the boot page, we have seen this page as well. I've selected the kernel line, and then here the same line, it's just a different kind of indication, single user mode. Okay, then save or press enter, and then B to boot as that particular, and that run level. See, similarly you can see my system will be starting slowly, so it will land up in a shell, okay, where we can directly, so once the system restarts in the single user mode, it will prompt you to enter the root password in the single user mode. Alright, now the shell access with root privileges will be denied to anyone. Okay, so in this example actually we have restricted the user, we have enabled the security such that even if you log into single user mode, so before landing up into the shell, the user will be asked to provide a root password. So this is where the root user has to provide the password, and he has to land up in the shell. This is a security measure. So what I'm showing you is wherein the system will land up. So the default one where we land up in the shell. Then we will try resetting the password for the root user. So the first scenario, once that is done, then we will see how to set up a restriction, and then logging in as a root user, where we need to provide the password first and then log in into the shell. Alright, so these are 2 different use cases. And yes, alright, that's done. So if you can see my screen, so directly I have landed in the single user mode. Alright, 1. Now, in order to reset the password, the command is passwd. By default, I am the root user here, right? So if I give password, it will ask for the root user password. That's it. The root password has been changed. Again, I will restart the system. So this is how we log into single user mode. Now here I'll show you how to restrict, how to set up, how to whoever just to make sure that whoever has logged into the single user mode is a root user, he is aware of the root password. So there is a restriction so that we can enable it. So what we can do here is, so if you come here, right, you need to come to the init tab file. So these are the steps in order to enable that restriction. Okay, so you need to be a root user. Okay, and if you want to restrict the users, whenever whoever logs into single user mode, we need to make sure that he knows the password and he is the right person to log in. So we need to insert this type, insert a line above it, search for init default. So I'll show you in my configuration file. You just have to go to the ending of the file. Okay, here. So there is something called init default, above which we need to mention this particular line. Okay, sq colon wait. So before the user logs in, okay, so he needs to provide the password. Okay, so this is how. So once you make an entry over there, then automatically you need to provide the password first before entering into the single user mode. Okay, so try this. If you have any questions, let me know on how to. So this is very simple, logging into single user mode. Try making changes in your init tab file and try logging in, see if you're able to, if the system is asking you for password or not. So we'll see, like, there are different ways of restricting the users. Even we can restrict the users from entering into the grub page itself. Okay, so gradually we'll see all the other options as well. So this is one security aspect. We'll go from slowly. We'll go from one level to the next level. All right. So this is about restricting the users. Okay. So the next one is the shutdown command. Either if you remember the run levels, you can either give init space 0, or you can also go with the shutdown command available in your system, which shuts the system immediately. There are some arguments available as well. So what you can do is you can run this command along with these arguments, and you can also echo or send a message to the users in the system that the system, you might have observed this if you are working in organizations. I think even in Windows you get to see this, that there are some updates that must be done on your system, and your system will get restarted in some time or something like that. So similarly, we can schedule the shutdown process and send out a message, echo a message to all the users who are logged in other terminals. All right. Say, okay, let my system start. I'll show you. Usually, people rate if you have a Linux server, people usually connect to server from from clients, like they use PutTV or some other client services. All right. So in that case, there will be multiple users logging into the server from different places. So there we need to make sure that all the users are informed, or that the system is going to get restarted or something. In those scenarios, we can, as a root user, we can run this command so that all the users who are working on other terminals will get intimated. Okay, so shutdown -r argument is used to restart your system, and in case if you have initiated a shutdown, you can cancel it. Using this, you can simply practice all these arguments. They're very basic ones. So see, you can also reboot your system directly by using the reboot command, and parallelly you can use these arguments as well. So far we have seen 3 different ways of starting or shutting down your system using reboot command, okay, using shutdown, using the init command as well.